Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Business Plus Mixer here, wherever you're watching it. We're live on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on LinkedIn, Facebook, and on, I forgot the other. I forgot YouTube. Good gracious, YouTube. I am so sorry. This brain right here, this is that season. If you all haven't heard, like there's been COVID increases around the world. And this is the season when I caught it. So I'm kind of out of sorts right now. But in any case, let's get back on task. I want to welcome you to the Business Plus Mixer. I come on Sundays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and we talk about business things with business people from all around the world. So here you're going to learn some things. Hopefully, you're going to have opportunities to laugh, share, and you're going to leave feeling better than you were when you started. That's what we do here at the Business Plus Mixer. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Go ahead and share it on your space. Tell your friends, tell your folks that we are on the air, and it is 7:02 and we are here. So thank you for joining us. Before I have a great guest, you all are going to love her like I love her. Her name is Rita Kirkendoll. But before I get to her, I want to tell you two things. My housekeeping, so my team will not be on my back. The first thing is if you are a minority or woman-owned business, I'm helping you get certified. My goal is to get 124 people certified by November. So if you are a woman minority owned business, reach out to me and let's talk about how we can get your business certified so that you can have access to more information, education, money, opportunities, and all with the set asides from the federal and local governments. Please do that. Also, yesterday was Grant Magic. Thank you all who attended Grant Magic yesterday. And we talked about all the essence of grants. We even talked about some certifications too. But we learned a lot. And one of the groups that was with us talked about doing some things for veterans. Like I didn't even know that was going to come, but it came. And we talked about veteran administration and those things too. So this was an educational session that we had on yesterday. And the people that attended are ready to fly now to go and apply for grants and get their opportunities. And I'm so excited to be a part of it. With all that said and done, I think I've appeased my team. I want to introduce you to my friend from the West Coast, Rita Kirkendoll. Hey, Rita.
Hi, it's so good to see you, Linda. I'm
It's
happy.
good to see you too. It's good to see you too. So tell my audience, who is Rita Kirkendoll?
Of course. For one, I love your platform. I love how you impact the community and how you support minority-owned businesses. Hello, everyone. My name is Rita. I specialize in healing. So I own Crystal Land, which is a metaphysical shop that specializes in providing holistic products and services. The biggest goal is to help people connect with their heart space so that they live in purpose and in truth and can spread that love and kindness throughout the communities.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And so my audience know a couple last week it may have been Tiffany Haney and I got together and we talked about, the things that she does for the total body. But let's talk about you and I are going to talk about our culture. And we're going to talk about how people talk about, the crystals and the spirits and all these things that our people came to the US with are now considered taboo and voodoo. So let's talk about that. Let's have that conversation.
I probably get that question once a day, if not on a weekly basis. There's a lot of fear that comes into doing something different. I know culturally, a lot of us are raised within a specific realm of belief. And I always encourage people to follow that, following what feels good and what you're connected to. I also like to encourage people to pay attention to how things feel. Oftentimes, we are given these belief systems and they're not ours. They're not ours to own. And in that, I always encourage people to understand that your relationship with your higher power is very intimate. And in that, you have to follow with what feels good and connected for you.
Mm.
That is my job. I love providing a safe space for people to do that. And in that, I also encourage people to pay attention to labels. Sometimes we're conditioned to give things an energy or a label, and that oftentimes holds a weight to it. So when you call things something out of fear, whether it's calling something voodoo or calling something dark, witchcraft, scary, I always tell people that we were conditioned and are conditioned to give these things energy and to let the energy hold weight by calling them things.
Mm.
Overall, it's very important for people as individuals to pay attention to how their relationship with their higher power feels. So
Mm.
whether that's in the form of connecting through nature, connecting through crystals, connecting through prayer, connecting through church, we all have a responsibility to really have an authentic connection without giving it too much energy as far as a label or
Mm.
a definition on what it's supposed to look like.
Absolutely. Because, it we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And
Yep.
so because of that, you hear, well, you can't talk to the spirits, you can't talk to the ancestors, you can't talk to this or that or the other, because all of that is frowned upon. But in essence, we are spiritual beings.
Mhm.
And this body is not it. This body is just an encasing. So connecting with higher powers and connecting with those things that give us our strength and direction, so that we are not alone and that we realize that our ancestors are there to guide us as opposed to frighten us.
Absolutely. And I think it's important for people to understand that you have the power to define visually what that looks like. We
Mm.
don't have authority to project anything onto anyone. And in that, one thing you can't fake is feeling. You can't fake when something feels good, whether you hear it for the first time and it resonates with your soul, whether it smells good and it brings out this part within you that has a past memory that feels really good. You can't
Mm.
fake that. And in that, I feel like we have that internal GPS that helps us automatically align and understand something as our truth.
Absolutely.
One thing I think that we're oftentimes overshadowed with is pre belief systems. And by
Mm.
pre belief, I mean things that were defined for us. And it's important, especially during this time and during this shift, as we're all becoming a little bit more aware of our consciousness and how to connect
Mm.
with things spiritually, that we give ourselves permission. We're a collective, and by collective, by definition, we each resonate with each other.
Mm.
And so, in understanding that, we give ourselves permission to have those dynamics and those different acknowledgments of different cultures, different spiritual beliefs, different religions. I feel like we don't talk enough about what that looks like. We
Mm.
only talk about what it's not supposed to look like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think that's it. Because I have friends that practice all types of religions, right? And they have all type of culture and belief systems. But when we're together,
Mhm.
like, it feels right. It feels like we are supporting each other, we are loving on each other, we are spending time, we have things in common, more things in common than we have apart.
Mhm.
And so, how do you navigate that in a world that says no, it has to be this way or nothing?
Yeah, absolutely. I see that changing so much. Number one, because it's the information era. So there's different information coming from different sources with people having their different perspectives on
Mhm.
certain areas. For example, with crystals, I'm noticing a lot within the younger generations bringing their parents into it. I'm noticing that the fear mongering, labeling things and giving people these identities with what they practice and how they practice. I'm slowly seeing that demystified through personal experience. I specialize in providing a safe space for people to understand and really take in the information behind the what. And in that, it
Mhm.
gives people the freedom to have their own discernment. So
Mhm.
that's one. Number two, I can always say it comes back to trauma. It comes back to 3 generations of us being conditioned to have a specific belief system. And in
Mhm.
that, um, anything outside of that is scary. I
Yeah.
know that recently I read about this experiment with think it was like mice. So these scientists took these mice and they put them in a cage. And in the cage, they put like some food that had a specific ingredient in it, and the food made the mice sick. So the mice that had babies, their babies automatically knew not to eat the food. It
Mm,
wasn't something that they had to teach them. It wasn't something that they had to try. They knew simply by having the shared DNA that there was something bad about it. And that's
mm,
how we're conditioned. Oftentimes, we're just given one thing. And that one thing, especially when you're shamed for what you believe in and the gifts that you carry, we carry that trauma and we pass it down. And when
mm.
we pass that down, we're just continuing the cycle.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a the movie that changed the way I seen everything. I went to 12 Years a Slave
Hmm.
and saw it by myself.
Hmm.
And in that movie, it talked about how people use religion to keep people in check. Like they would go and get black ministers to come and talk to the people, but they would give them the script, right? To
Hmm.
say, because they wanted them to have a certain fear
Hmm.
so that they would, act right. And I was talking to my son. He said, "Ma, I believe that if it was not for religion and laws, this world would be run amok, right?" And
Yeah.
so I get that. I get that. But the appreciation for different cultures, for going outside of your own culture and actually learning
Learning.
about somebody else and learning how they do things and understanding, like going with an open mind, an open heart to understand other people deeper than, oh, that's those people over there.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
think I think that's the onus is on each of us to do that.
Hmm. And one thing you'll start to notice, especially for my people, I know for me personally, I grew up Baptist. My family is very Christian. One thing that I notice is that when you have gifts, oftentimes you seek your identity in those gifts, and it's really easy for us to dismiss them because we don't see ourselves in what we're being taught. So we think it's
Yeah.
bad. We think it's something that we should try to um, push down or
Mhm.
ignore. And through that, it's a whole nother side story about how trauma manifests. But through that, we come to a point where we have to acknowledge that the path forward, if we're really doing this with God, if we're really doing this with Source, our creative energy, we have to acknowledge when He gives us a gift. And in that, how to live in that truth for the strength of the people who need to feel that gift from you. I feel like
Absolutely.
that's where we are now. And that's what makes me so passionate. I always say there's a point where oftentimes we graduate from religion. Religion is important. I feel like there's people that need structure. There's people that need to understand their relationship with God. Maybe people don't have the foundation that I've had where my family has been so planted in that foundation that I have a foundation to go off of.
Mhm.
But then you have those people that know that when God is speaking to you and God is allowing you to connect with other people who may not be familiar with your belief system, we don't short ourselves and we don't provide the boundaries to keep that connection from being engaged because we know that we're being guided to influence someone else. So in that,
Absolutely.
there's two levels to it. I always say, if that's what makes you feel like you're connected, go for it, but also give yourself permission to acknowledge your gifts and to acknowledge that God comes to us in many different ways through many different avenues. And it doesn't have to look like a traditional route.
Right. I mean, it doesn't have to look one way, period.
No, not at all.
And so, and that's the thing. I think when you visit other cultures and you visit other places outside of your norm, you step outside of your paradigm, you get a world view
Hmm.
of religious education that doesn't come in a box.
Absolutely.
And because of that, you and I met
Hmm.
along with Tiffany. We whatever fate, whatever you want to put a name on it, whatever label you have is fine. But the three of us met and sit right beside each other. And then we sit there and we were all very supportive and cheering and going on. And then all of a sudden the conversation got deep. It got like, oh wow, wait a minute, you too, and you too, and you too. All of
Hmm.
us have the gift. We all
Hmm.
have the gift. And so when one of us was talking, the other two understood exactly what was going on.
Yeah, it was great. It was
That
great.
that was
That was the
that's
highlight of the trip. Absolutely. And it was
that
confirmation. That's how it's
absolutely.
supposed to be. Yeah, 100%.
And so the three of us sat there and we talked and we, shared notes and yeah, that
Mhm.
was the first time that's happened in my life. That I've
Divine
been like that.
intervention. It's
Yeah.
it's divine intervention. And another thing we like to teach people is to really pay attention to the energy you put out, because the energy
Mm.
you put out usually aligns with the people who are looking for you.
Yeah.
And that was beautiful confirmation that just putting it into practice and really going out and being yourself and really connecting with that higher power, that we're so closely tied to. It's beautiful when you meet people like that.
It was. It's wonderful. I mean, because I mean, what, 100 something people in the room, and
Mhm.
the three of us got it. Like the three of the three of us was like, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, that right there. And we talked about how people will see or not believe or make fun of or because it's different.
Mhm.
And so somebody that's listening to this who feels like you're isolated, feels like you're one off and that, you don't fit in and that people think you're crazy, because you're a little different.
Yeah.
So they say things about you, or they would misread it. In my case, they never said I was crazy, I don't think. Not at least not to my face, but they have said things like, "Well, she's different. Well,
Yeah.
she's a little different." And I've been different. I looked at my sixth grade graduation picture, and all the girls are in the front. They have their makeup, their hair. They're all sixth grade. They're all in the front. I'm over on the right side, standing next to some little boy. But we're not even standing together. It's like we didn't even want to be around each other. It's just that I was leaning up against the wall because that's where I felt comfortable.
Mhm.
And I realized I've been outstanding all of my days. And so hopefully somebody watching this will understand that they were born to stand out. And
Mhm.
so it's kind of hard to fit in.
Mhm. Absolutely. Oh, speaking my language. Again, this is something that I love to encourage people to understand, or even just have the awareness of. If you're
The
someone
awareness.
who's watching this who feels like you're on a journey or who's going through a shift, for one, people come to me, people find me when they're going through shifts. This is what we call a transformative journey. So if you're someone who is really battling with your beliefs, meaning that you feel your gifts, you know that you're in tune with your gifts, you know things happen shortly after you see them or feel them. You know, when you walk into a room, how you can gauge the temperament of the room, the temperament of the people in the room. Naturally, people are drawn to you. If you're that person who is challenging your beliefs and really questioning the why, for one, definitely want to acknowledge that it is a very lonely journey. Lonely
Yeah.
in a sense of the disconnection. That loneliness is just a symptom. It's a symptom of hiding from yourself and your true passions and your true gifts. Anytime you're disconnected from your higher power or the energy of what I call source, some people call God, some people call um, higher power. Anytime you're disconnected from that energy radiates at such a high frequency, it will not come down to meet your
Mm,
loneliness. It will not come down to meet your sadness or your isolation. It's there to always remind you to bring yourself up and to align with the higher energies.
mm,
Through that journey, it never fails. What typically happens, step two, the weird comments come up. The people come up that you know need to kindly depart, so that you can make room for the right people to come in. So if you're someone that's in transition, just understand that all hope is not lost. You are making room for the right people to come in and see you, and align with you. And in that, it's all about setting the intention for what you want for your life. For
mm,
example, for me, I want to align with my highest self. I want to align with the best part of me that can influence people to not only be themselves, but to live in truth and purpose. And creativity. And in that, setting your intention when you start your day will allow you to start understanding and paying attention to the synchronicities that come in as you're going through the shift.
I love it. I love it. And that thing about your highest self,
Highest self. Yeah.
like the highest possible version of you,
Hmm.
getting there. I mean, that's the goal. That's the
Absolutely.
goal, to be that person who you were meant to be. Like, we're getting snippets and previews of those things that we were designed to become. And so to head in that direction, to be that person,
Hmm.
is everything.
Absolutely.
I love this. I love this conversation. So, who should be reaching out to Rita?
People who are going through a shift that are ready to put in the work. I specialize in teaching people as they're going through their transition. So, in teaching, I like to educate people, demystify spirituality and what that looks like. There are so many different commonalities that we all have that we share. Some people call it prayer, some people call it a ritual, some people call it intention setting. Um, we have this habit as humans as giving things labels. And so my job is that when people come to me and they're ready to really understand themselves and what they're drawn to, is to provide the safe space to provide the knowledge behind the why. For
Mm,
example, I know recently we've had conversations about people being afraid of voodoo or people not understanding hoodoo. And I'm one of those people that come in and I like to provide the information on the background and where it comes from.
mm,
So with the hoodoo tradition, it's very ironic because a lot of our people that are from the South, hoodoo came up as a way to connect with those old spiritual practices. And on this land, on this American land, as we transitioned. And in that, there's a lot of honoring of ancestors that I like to encourage. I feel like that process and that shame behind understanding African traditional religion is really because we don't know it. We don't know, and we weren't taught and conditioned to follow what we feel and make decisions on our path forwards. Those decisions were always made for us. And so, in that, when people come, again, I'm just here to provide the safe space and allow people to really have the tools to go forward. Oftentimes, those tools look like releasing. So, we provide hypnosis, we provide guided meditations, Reiki healing, things that people can use to get that trauma out of their body.
mm,
Sometimes the mind has to catch up to the spirit. So, as your spirit is getting those downloads and acknowledging that there's a shift taking place, your body is like resisting because it's holding on to those memories that are embedded from trauma. 80% of it's from childhood, things that we were taught not to do or not to say, not to try. And in reality, it's all dimming our connection with our higher power, dimming our
mm.
connection with God and the true essence and energy of living in his realm of wholeness. And so, yes, when people are ready, just be prepared to really do the work to connect with themselves, to define what their path forward looks like, whether that's through health and wellness, through spiritual connection, through energetic connection, through crystal healing. Here's a safe space.
I love that. I love that, because the spirit is being stirred,
Hmm.
and they feel it. Like, it's a feeling. People, oh, don't get in your feelings. No, we are humans who have feelings.
Hmm.
That,
Hmm.
and it's our intellect sets us apart from the animals,
Hmm.
and so we are more and more being guided and instructed to don't be human.
Hmm.
Be an animal, be uncaring, unsympathetic, unempathetic. Just live and do.
Hmm. And that's part of the what we call the 3D realm of things. That's what we're taught to do because it does keep society functioning. There are always going to be people who want to live and exist within that realm.
Mm,
I'm talking to the people who are living in that realm now and know that there's more. Know
yeah,
that they're more in control of the decisions that they make and knowing that their decisions really create their reality. Those are more of the people that I know are listening and are interested and are excited to start that path.
absolutely. And learning what that path is for you.
Yeah.
It's not cookie cutter, and it's not one size fits all. You are a unique being with a unique set of gifts that are
Mhm.
centered around you and your life.
Absolutely.
And no two look alike.
Nope.
And so that's the thing, understanding your uniqueness and why you're unique and embracing that and celebrating that, which is we don't do because you've told, oh no, you're to be quiet and in a corner.
That's all trauma. Like we were talking about before, trauma stays in our DNA for 7 years or seven
Mm,
generations, rather. So you're
mm,
carrying, those aren't even just your thoughts. Those are the thoughts of your mom's mom, your uncle, your great great grandfather who wasn't taught to think, who just had to do. Like those are all embedded in us. And so
mm.
as we become more aware, because we're going into that cycle of awareness, of true
True
awareness,
awareness.
not
Yeah.
to mention that we're a manifestation of our ancestors' wildest dreams, meaning that we are living proof of all the desires that they had, that they
Mm.
internalized. So it's our due diligence, it's our responsibility to wake up and acknowledge and understand some of those thoughts aren't even ours. Some of those belief systems, some of those labels that we give people, not even ours.
Yeah, yeah. And you understand that it took the the many years of people just for
Mhm,
us to be here. And our DNA is mixed with all of them.
mhm,
And so understanding that's why I love genealogy. I love
mhm,
going back and I love the fact that in this lifetime I got to put my feet on the ground of my ancestors.
mhm.
That was everything to me. Like to actually find out this is where we come from and
Yes.
being able to go and put my feet there,
Mhm.
that right there is something that I'll never forget.
Yep. Even acknowledging them is healing
Mm,
part of their journey, part of their story. It's bringing peace to part of that turmoil that they experienced.
mm,
Acknowledging them. It's one thing I'm really big on is there's levels, meaning that there's God who's your source energy. There is your angels who are really just champions of that higher light being energy. And then you have your ancestors who really formed and shaped your history to bring you to this point through their strength, through their sacrifice. So, in honoring them, just by even saying, I see you and I'm
mm,
happy to connect with you here, you're already a manifestation of their gifts.
mm. And I know that. I feel that. I feel in doing my DNA and learning about my great grandmother, who I'd never met, who I'd never even knew her name,
Hmm.
but in learning about her and my great grandfather, my paternal great grandparents, I learned they came out of slavery and were property owners.
Hmm.
And when he died, she became an entrepreneur.
Hmm. Yep.
And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Who am I to sit down on their legacy? And so that made me stand up and take notice. And I've passed it on to nieces and nephews and, my kids and hopefully my grandkids. I know my one granddaughter is an organic farmer.
Hmm.
That pleases my soul.
Wild. Yeah. Wild.
And my great grandson, he's a farmer. Like he likes chickens and things, and he's very intelligent. He talks about, raising chickens and what that's like. I mean, doing the earth things.
Connecting with the earth.
Yeah. Yeah. I love, love, love that I got the opportunity to live this life.
Hmm.
Yeah, I really do. This is things that I hadn't encountered before I went to sleep. And
Hmm.
so I'm loving this side of it.
Absolutely. And it's never ending. We are spiritual beings, so this is just a temporary experience. And I always encourage people to acknowledge that and understand that you want to live your fullest life. And in living your fullest life, you want to be fully tuned in, fully connected to your higher self. And your higher
Absolutely.
self is connected to all these beautiful things that God has given us to really
And
live in purpose.
absolutely. And let me ask you, so anyone watching this video, this interview, what one thing would you like them to take away?
You are your gift. You are what you've been waiting for. There's nothing outside of you that you don't possess that you need to connect. And acknowledging that, treating yourself like the most important person in the world will automatically put you in that realm of being able to give and attract the right people, the right
Mm,
opportunities, the right experiences. And I think that we're not taught enough to understand and acknowledge that we're what we need. But in that, yes, that'd be the one thing.
I
You are
love
what
it.
you need in this life.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And so as I go to a close, my name is Linda Murray Bullard. They call me the business plug. I just plugged you into spiritual healing with Rita Kirkendoll. You all can connect with her at all the links that are in wherever you're watching this. And tune in next Sunday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern, here for the Business Plugs Mixer. Have a great week, everyone.